any special characters for setting up a variable. So let's say if you're using dollar or star or some other names, you'll not be able to, create that variable. The values can be anything. It can be number, it can be text, it can be file name, it can be any other data. But only the condition for variable naming convention for a variable is they can only be letters, numbers, and an underscore. So yesterday I give you an example on how we could create a variable and then use that variable in our scripts by using, let's say, an echo command, and how we could print that variable. So in here, and when I said that this is dollar name, so whatever the value that was associated to this variable name will be printed here. So in this example, I have assigned the value ABC for this variable name. So when I execute the script, so the output I will be getting is this is the value for the variable is ABC. This is ABC. And next, I am from dollar place. So the value I assigned to place was Bangalore. So when I execute the script, the output I will be getting is I am from Bangalore. So this is how we can assign values, create a variable, assign values to the variable directly inside the script, and then we can use this variable at any place in our script. So this is just a simple example on how we could print a variable, the what are the data that was present inside the variable, how we could print that. But there are multiple other things that we can do with the variables, like using conditions. Maybe if there are the variables has integers or numerical data, if you want to make some arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, we can always do that by using this variables. Any doubts in this example? So this is one way of doing things, but what if I don't want to enter the values directly into the script? I want to enter those values while I'm executing the script. So whenever I run this sh shell script, whatever the shell script name, right? So what if I want to pass the values during that time, during the run time, if I want to pass the values? Then you can also do that by doing, let's say I'll remove this. Just use echo. This is $1. This is $2. So I'll explain you what is this $1 and $2. First I will save this file and show you how it works. So I've just added this is $1 and I'm from $2. So how can I execute a shell script?
Sh
//
example dot sh.
Either dot slash, or you can also use sh, and then what are this shell script name. So here, so if you remember, I used the $1 and $2, right? So the $1 is for name. So the first value that I need to pass is the $1 ABC. Then I'll pass Bangalore. So you can see here, this is ABC, I'm from Bangalore. If you remember, here we added as $1, and here, so I'll add example. So you can see here, this is $1 and this is the $2. So what are the first values that we pass? Everyone go on mute. So what are the first values that we pass after the script name will be considered as $1, and what are the second value that we pass after the script name will be considered as $2, and so on. You can go up to any number of inputs that you want. You can go up to 100, but if it is more than 10 numbers, if it is a double digit, you need to use flower brackets for these dollars. Everyone go on mute. So similarly, what are the values that you want? I can keep on adding this. Ashrita, go on mute. still add that. Hi, echo. This is $1. I'm from $2. Then let's say I'll add echo just $3, $3, and then maybe just $4, and maybe $5. So I can still keep on adding them, and while executing the script, I can just pass on those values. Say ABC Bangalore, eh, some values. You can see. So this is $3, this is $4, and this is $5. So based on how many numbers you are given inside the script. So even if I enter some more numbers, some more values here, so only those values that we have inside this that we have used inside the script will be working. So let's say if I use some one more value, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I send the value as the $6 value, but it will not be used anywhere here because I have not used anywhere to make use of that sixth value that we are sending while executing the script. So this is one way of if you want to pass the values while executing the script, you can always make use of this, and you can always assign them to a variable as well. So let's say I'll go to this example.sh. Say I want to show the value $1 to a variable. I can always do that. Name equals to $1. Name equals to $1, and let's say place equals to $2. So this way, whatever the first value that we are passing while executing a script will be assigned to the variable name. So then I can go here and use $name and $place. So you can either you can directly use $1 and $2, or if you want to have a variable specifically for that, you can always assign those values to a variable as well. Then you can print those values by using the variable names. Even if I use $name or $1, both are one and the same because the value of name is also equals to $1. So now if I send the same values, you can see here. So we are getting the same output. Any doubts here on variables?
Hi Aditya.
Yeah.
The one who has wrote the script, they know the content of the script, right? If the consumer wants to give the input, he will be not knowing the order, right? Which we need to give first and which has to give the next. He will be not knowing, right? How he will be knowing that? Which he has to send, like he has to give you like something like if you want to give the input for id, the id should be popped out, right, to give the input. Here we don't have any pop-up to like something like it is not asking us to.
There is one more command. So I'll explain in future on how we could
Okay.
read. So how we could read while the script is getting executed. So you can ask for what is your enter your name, and then you can enter the name.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Aditya,
Yeah.
here when you're assigning, you always have to use $1 to numbers basically, or can you
Numbers.
use like $ABC?
No. These are numbers. These are specific to this. So yeah, all the numbers start from $1, and then they go to whatever. So whatever the first value that you're passing will always be $1. These are we call it a
And
special variable.
can I use like for example here there is one script which has $1, $2. Can I have another script which also has $1, $2,
Yeah,
or
you
it has
can.
to be okay?
Those are specific for that script only. You can use in multiple scripts same $1, $2, because when you are executing that script only, you will be entering those values, right? $1, $2.
Yeah.
So they are specific for that script.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Any other doubts on the variables? variables string which we can assign value.
Aditya,
Yeah.
can I use that variable outside that script as well?
No, that is for that script only. If you have created an environment variable, then you can use the outside the script. Just with how I show you that how you could create an environment variable and how if you want to keep it permanently, how you can add that to a bash RC file, right? So if you
Yes.
want, if you do that, then you can use that in any script. Then you can use these values. But if you're creating a variable inside a script, that is that script specific only.
Okay, thank you.
The value can be a number, text, file name, or any other data. The name of the variable only contains numbers and the score. To access the value of the variable inside the script. So how can you get the value of a variable when if I want to let's say print what are the content of a variable?
Uh, dollar symbol variable name.
Yeah, so we have to use the dollar dollar name of the variable. So for example, so the output would be hi, how are you? This is ABC from this is how you'd get the output if you not directly assign the values inside the script directly. So this is the first one. Assigning values inside the script.
Aditya, if we assign instead of dollar name, if we assign dollar ABC, then it is vice versa. It will print as name.
This dollar $ABC, then there is no variable by that name, right? So you'll be either getting an error or some kind of value that was previously someone has added. There is no variable by the name ABC, right? So if you use dollar $ABC, you'll not be having any content over.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're just getting a gap here because there is no value for dollar $ABC because we are not assigned anything for that.
Person, the $2.
Yes, QREM. Pass. So we call them as arguments. To pass the arguments, or you can also say as values to shell scripts.
Hi Aditya, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I create a runtime variable, for example, 5 variables
Hmm.
in shell script, and in runtime, I don't want to give a value for this variable 4. How can I differentiate? Like, I want to print only this 1, 2, 3, not 4, 5, like that.
So that you have to inside the script only you have to be specific there. So what are the values that you're using? And so during the runtime you cannot make any changes. So if you want to only use the 4 values, then you need to only use the four here. Let's say if I set up 5 and I only pass the four values here, and if I press enter, you can see here's the, say, let's say this is not a better example. Dot sh go. So now when I'm passing these values, you can see here it's for third variable, this is for 4, and this is for 5th. So if when I'm passing in this manner, you are getting it. You can see that the third value that you're passing is it's going for the $3, $4, and $5. Then if I, let's say, if I just remove this 4 and if I enter, you can see here. So the fourth value that we have passed is this value. So it's taking as the $4 value. So if you don't use any the middle one, if you don't send, what are the next value that you're going to send, that will be taken as the $4. It does not care
If you
about
give
like,
space, it will take.
give a space. Still, the fourth value is your 5th.
If we put space in between inverted commas,
Which inverted commas?
means space in between inverted commas, will that be taken as
Yeah. It is taken as the fourth variable. $4. So if you have used $1s and all these values, then you need to use them in that particular order only. One thing you can do is, if you don't want to know specifically, you can always assign those values like in this manner, like cat example. So you can assign all the values that you have entered inside the script, and maybe what are the values that you want, you can make use of them, and then what values you don't want, you can leave inside the script. But if you're using this $1 and $2, you need to be entering those values.
Can I add these variables in a bash file like alias?
Which bash file? Bash RC.
Like yesterday we have seen bash RC. There we can add alias with the names, right? So that it will consider as a variable. is running the script.
That will, if you have added an environment variable, that environment variable will, you can use it in any script, anywhere. So for an example, echo $user, right? So we are getting this EC2 user, right? Even if I go inside the script, so that's an environment variable that we created. So even if I use this inside the script, $user, and if I execute the script, you can, yeah, we are getting that off. So if there is any environment variable that you have created by setting up values in your bash as a bash profile, you can use those values in any scripts. So let's say if I use test equals to name, let's say I created this variable. This is a temporary variable. Once I restart the session, this value will be gone. So if I go to this VI example and I use $test, if you say this, I guess it's only taking the environment variables, but there's also an environment variable, but a temporary one. This should all.
Okay. But actually, I think it should not work. Otherwise, if suppose in our script also we given the same variable test also, so it will be conflict, right? Then which one it will take?
Okay. Dot slash. So that user is a specific fixed environment variable that ECT user it will be taking. But test equal to Linux. Because we could use this environment variable. If you have modified an environment variable, then whatever, if you have used a variable with the same name, that variable will be taken inside the script, that will be given more importance. But if you have an environment variable, we can always use this, because when you are writing some scripts, if you have, if you need to pass on some path values like Java home, these are some of the paths, right? If you want to pass the paths, we always use this environment variables only.
Okay.
I'll check once more, but it's maybe something that I need to do. But anyway, I'll check once again and let you know. Okay, any doubts in passing the values during the runtime or assigning the values?
Aditya, maybe we need to restart the session and then those variables will be working. Is it so?
No, I've already, used the exec bash, right? So this command, exec bash, so that would be, the values will be reset anyway. So I'll check once again, I'll check once and then
Okay.
get back to you guys tomorrow. So there are some special variables. So this $1 and $2, like this we can use in the script side. So there are some special variables which have special meanings here. So for an example, $0. Anyone guess what would be your $0? So if whenever we are executing a script, right? So this is $1, $2, $3, $4, right? Can anyone guess what could be the $0?
A file name of the current script.
So whatever, let's say if you're using sh, right? The file name .sh, and you pass on any value for ABC and let's say Bengaluru. So this is your $1, this is your $2, and this will be your $0. So if you ever want to check what is the file name, you can always use $0. It is the file name of the current script. Similarly, if you want to pass how many number of variables that you have passed to the script. So let's say you have passed 2 values during the runtime. If you have passed 4 values, or if you have passed 5 values, if you want to check how many values that you are sending to the script, you can always check by using $hash total number of arguments passed. For an example, let's say I'll go to the script pi example.sh. All this, just use echo $hash. Close this file. So here, and then to execute the script, I will use a sh example. So I'll pass ABC and then Guru, and I'll enter. You can see here the value of $hash, we got it as 2 because the total number of arguments that we passed to the script was 2 values. Let's say if I passed one more value, test, and if I press enter, you can see here the total number of arguments passed to the script is 3, but we only used 2 values here. We only made use of 2 values inside the script, but the actual values that were passed to the script while executing was 3 values. So if I pass one more value, you can see here the total number of values or arguments that are passed during the runtime of 4. In this way, if you ever want to check how many inputs that you are getting during the runtime, let's say you only want to get 2 inputs, but the user has entered 3 or 4 or 5, you can always set up an if condition and say that okay, only enter 2 values. Let's say you specifically require 4 inputs from the user and you're only getting 2 inputs, then you can set an if condition saying that okay, please enter 4 values here or 4 numbers for that sake. Any doubts here on $0 and $hash? So one next set is $. Will use all the arguments the script in string format. $@ is the same. It will use all the arguments passed to the script in array format. And similarly, there is $? Check the status of last executed command, and dollar, check the PID, current running process. What's the PID?
Process ID.
Process.
Process ID.
Information, check the PID of the last process. Get to background. So let's say if you execute a command, so echo hello. So this command got executed without any errors. So you're not getting any errors here. So if I use echo dollar question mark, then you will get a 0 value. That means whatever the command that you executed previously, that a command got executed properly without any errors when you get a 0 value. Let's say I'll run a command. So I'll make a mistake with echo symbol. I'll just use eho, then hello. So you can see here bash eho command not found because there is no command with this name eho. So this command was not executed properly. There was some errors. We got some errors. So now if I use echo dollar question mark, you can see here there is a number here. These are all you'll get some for different errors. You'll be getting different errors. So any number other than 0 if you're getting for echo dollar question mark, then you can say that whatever command that you have executed previously did not executed with an error. That is the command did not execute properly. There was some error with that command. So this is one way of you can check like what are the command that you have run, whether it has run correctly or not, by using this dollar question mark. And then similarly, if you want to all the arguments passed to the script, you can always use echo $star, for example, add example.sh. Let's say I pass on the values. So these are the 4 values I'm passing, right? So you can see here it prints all the 4 values, all the 4 arguments. So it will be in string format. So if you want to make use of arrays is a different concept in any scripting language. There is arrays. So if you want to make use of these values in an array format, you can use $@. So we generally use them in for loops. This comes in handy. This $star or $@. They come in handy while using for loops, which we'll see in future classes. But for now, just know that. So the $star will give you all the arguments that you have passed to this script. Any doubts here on the special variables?
Hi Aditya, you said the dollar question mark is for getting the error, if getting the update on error for previous command, right? If we have set of commands, how will that work?
So a set of commands that whatever, let's say if you're using head 5 example, then if I pipe it to tail, so if I don't use tail properly, so we're always getting this command not found, right? So this is a total 1 command. So if I use dollar question mark now, echo dollar question mark, it's 127. So if you are executing 10 commands, only the last command you can only get the status of the last executed command.
So the first command is not executed, next command will not at all pop up, right?
Only the previous executed command you will get the status by using this echo dollar question. Use, let's say ls-l, and if I use echo and some test, so the command not found. So when you use echo dollar question mark, only the last executed command, that is this command, you will be getting only the status of this command, not the previous command.
So what is the use, Aditya? Like if we have set of commands, right? In the middle, we will be we might not knowing, right? Which command is wrong, which command is correct, right? So if only get the output for this particular last command, it's no use, right?
If it
We
is no
want to
use,
do this.
let's say if you're running 10 commands, after running each command, you can always check whether the previous command has executed properly or not, right? Inside the script, yes, you can always check after running each command. You can always set up echo dollar question mark. Is this a way that you can check whether the previous command has executed properly or not? There are many use cases in script that you make use of this, whether whatever the command that you have written, whether it's working fine or not. If you are using 10 commands, then after each command use this and check whether the command is working or not. Who is stopping you to make use of that 10 times?
Okay.
Aditya, it is the default value that will get 127 or
No, there are other. So for command not found, it's 127, and for any other example, let's say I'll use some name.sh. So for no such file or directory, echo dollar question mark. Let me see if we get. It's also 127. So there's for different kinds of errors, there is different numbers. So for particularly command not found, and this, if it is not found, so you will be getting 127 error. So for any other different errors, you will be getting some other like 2, 1. Also, you will be getting those errors.
okay.
Based on the error.
Okay.
Aditya, I got another special variable while downloading Tomcat, like $path. It gives the path of a file.
That is the environment variable that you have set.
Okay.
Echo.
That is not special variable. No $capital path.
Yeah. This is the environment variable that we have set, $path. So what are the values? The files that present in these folders, right? You can execute those files anywhere from anywhere. There's a reason why these ls commands, all commands can work from anywhere, because the executable files of this ls are inside any of these folders. Is local bin, ESET user /bin, bin, and user sbin. So these packages are inside this file, inside these folders. There's a reason why all these echo commands, ls commands, we can always execute these commands from any location, any directory, because they have been added to this path from which we can execute those commands anywhere. So even if you, let's say, if you want to execute your scripts from any place, you can add the path of your script to this. You can export your path of your script to this variable, and then you can execute your scripts from any place. I'll show you that in future classes.
Okay.
This 127 is an error code.
Yeah, error code.
Can we check all the error codes in, with any command? Description.
No,
like help we use, right?
No, I don't think there's this. Error codes. Error codes in Linux. So no such file or directory. It should be 2, but we are getting 127 anyway. Let's say I use rather than shell script. And now if I use echo dollar question mark, so you can see here I'm getting error 1. So if you want to check all the error codes, you can do that. So for permission denied, let's say install Java. So we are getting permission denied here, echo dollar question mark, error 1. So if you want to check, you can check in the internet. Then what are the different codes for different kinds of errors?
Yeah, in Google we are getting that.
Okay. Operators. So there are different kinds of operators. So first let's talk about the arithmetic operators. So the arithmetic operators are nothing but your multiplications, your additions, your subtraction, your division. So how we can perform arithmetic operations inside a shell script. So for an example, what was the first line in a shell script?
Ash exclamatory
Ash
bin slash
slash bin slash.
slash bin.
What happens if I don't use this line?
It will take the default.
Default shell.
Default.
Default value. So let's say if I want to add two numbers, so I'm taking two inputs while during the runtime, and I want to add those two numbers. So there are multiple ways on how you could do arithmetic operations in shell script. So I'll explain both the ways. There are three ways actually. So I'll explain two ways on how you could add or subtract, or what are the arithmetic operations that you want. So whichever is convenient for you guys, you can perform that. So first one, so this is the you can see the basic one or classic one. So what are the values that you want to add? The total sum. So if you want to assign to variables, so I'm using the sum variable. So then you need to use these codes. So you can find these codes under your escape button. I don't remember the exact name for this code. So, but you can find this codes under your escape key, and you need to use expr, that is expression. And let's say if I want to add two numbers, right, $1 and then plus $2. So better, let's say I will assign these values to, everyone go on mute. Number 1 equals to $1, number 2 equals to $2. So here I can use then number 1 and then number 2. So this is one way of adding your numbers by using arithmetic operators. So if you want to use another way, so there is one more way. If you want, let's say I want to subtract this number, you can use dollar with double brackets, number 1 minus number 2. So these are both. You can either use this way or this way. Both are the one and the same. So both you'll be getting the same value. So either use this or that. Both are one and the same. So whichever is convenient for you, you can use that. So one way is you need to use this codes, and you need to run whatever. If you're performing any kinds of arithmetic operations, you need to use this expr and then perform this or add these numbers. And always remember the spaces. The syntax is very important in shell script. Even if you miss a single space, you'll get an error. So expr space, and what are the first variable that you want to add, and then give a space and use the operator. So arithmetic operators are there. So plus, and then division, and for multiplication you need to use the slash and then use the multiplication. So this is an exemption. So for multiplication, whenever you're performing a multiplication operator, you need to use this slash. So let's say dollar number 1, and you need to use the slash and then multiplication or the operator and the number 2. So these are two ways of doing arithmetic operations in shell script. So either you can use this way or you can use this. Both are the same. So and then I can always print saying echo sum of two numbers is $sum, and I will add $sum 2, so that both the values are same. Either you use this expression or this expression, both are one and the same. And echo product of two numbers is hello. And these variable names, you can give any variable names. I'm just using this variable names for my sake. If you want to use any other variable name, you can always do that. So these are your script. You can add whatever the variable names that you want. This and add as vi dot sh, and even the names you can always keep any name for your shell script. It does not matter. Only thing that matters is what are the commands and different things that you are running inside the script. Now if I run sh arithmetic.sh, and I need to pass two values. Let me pass 3 and 4.
Hi Aditya, what is the symbol for mod?
Percentage.
Percentage, yeah. Okay.
So you can see that both the values are working. Let me check.
In the sum place, you have used minus, it seems, Aditya. Is that correct? At echo. At echo.
Just hyphen symbol that I used. It's not minus. Just for some example, that both values we are getting the same. Whether you use this expression or this expression, we'll be getting the same values. This is just an hyphen I'm using. You can use anyway.
In sum 2, you have added one dollar symbol, and in sum, you didn't add any dollar symbol.
Where? This is one kind of expression that you can use. Either you can use this or you can use this. So if you are using this expression, you don't need to add the dollar. You need to use this quotes, expr, and what are the variables, what are the arithmetic operations that you want to perform. And if you want to use this syntax, you can use this syntax where you need to use dollar, and you need to use two brackets, and then perform the what are the operation that you want to perform.
So in sum 2, dollar is mandatory.
Yeah, mandatory.
Sum 2 is because we are performing two operations. That is the reason, okay?
Which one?
In syntax 2, you have used sum 2.
Aditya, in multiply, second we have used, right? Backward slash star should be right there, right?
For this syntax, you don't have to use even backward slash. I think. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. So if you're using expr syntax, you have to use the backward slash. But if you're not using the expr syntax, if you're using this dollar symbol, then you don't even have to use the backward slash. You can directly multiply by using what are the values. So here, so this is both are one and the same, but there are two ways of writing your script, writing your arithmetic operations. You can make use of either this one or this one, whichever is convenient for you. Fix to that and use one kind of syntax in a script. Either use this or use this. Both are same. Either use this or this. Both you'll get the same values with both the syntax. It's just that there are two ways of performing arithmetic operations in shell script. You can also, there is also one more way it will be just confusing for you guys. So either use this syntax or this syntax, both are same value. You'll be getting the same values. Any doubts now?
Which one would you recommend to use?
Depending on whichever you like. There's nothing called as which is recommended, which is not recommended. You get fixed with one, and then we always use that in all your scripts. Anything is fine. What?
We have used sum 2 in second syntax, right? That 2 is a number without performing the operation. We are performing 2 operations. That is the reason it is 2, is it?
So I'm just using this is sum and this is sum 2. I could use sum 10. It does not matter. That's just a variable name. Whatever the variable name that you're using. If you see here, so the variables could be a number, text, of so variables can be letters, numbers, and underscore. I just use first sum 2 as a variable name. That's it. It's just a name for a variable. It does not have any meaning to that.
Okay, wonderful.
Aditya.
Yeah.
When the session is going to be started, whatever the variables we mentioned in the bash RC, it will going to invoke. Is it achievable in the shell script also? If the session is going to be started, I want to execute this kind of shell script.
Can you come again?
Like when the session is going to be started, I want to execute some particular kind of shell scripts, like whatever you have written in that.
Then you can add sh. I mean, whatever the shell script that you want, add the shell script name inside the bash RC file. That particular shell script will always get executed whenever the session starts.
We need to specify the whole path of shell script. Like, could you give one?
Yeah, you need to pass. You need to pass the total path. Let's say if I want to execute this particular just use hello.
Okay.
And I'll save this file. So inside this bash RC, sh /home/ec2 user
got it.
scripts/test.sh. You need to pass the total path where the script is running. Once I restart the session, that shell script will be executed.
Okay, thank you.
Coming to second kind of operators, so these are arithmetic operators. Next is your relational operators. So let's say if you want to check if the two numbers are equal, then you have an equal operator, so which is equals to. Let's say if you have if you want to check whether the two values are not equal, then you can use this not equal operator. They're all during your C language. So same operators. This equals to, not equals to. So these are all same operators. So let's say if you use less than, if you want to check, use this operator less than or equal to. If you want to check, if it is one value is greater than the other value, you can always check using and or equal to. So these are relational operators. So if you are using a conditions, whether in a if condition, whether in while loop, so if you are checking some particular condition, so let's say you have entered two numbers, and if you want to check whether one number is greater than the other, you can use this greater than symbol. Let's say if you have entered two numbers, if you wanted to check whether those two numbers are equal, then you can use this operator. And if you have entered two values, and if you want to check whether those two numbers are not equal, then you can use this operator. So these all operators come in handy while performing your when you're writing your conditional parameters, whether it's in if condition, whether it's in while loops. So wherever you want to add a condition, you can always use these relational operators. So, but in shell script, these relational operators, right, for these particular examples, will only work with strings. If you want to perform relational operators on numbers, you have different kind of relational operators. So for equal, it is eq. For not equal, hyphen eq. For equal, for not equal, it is hyphen any. Just the starting letters of each of this. So eq. So you can see a eq and then eq. So not equal, n and e. So similarly, less than, it is lt. Less than or equal to, it's hyphen le. Greater than, hyphen gt. And then greater than or equal, it is hyphen ge. So this, for if you're checking for relation operators, if you're checking for strings, any also alphabetical values, then you need to use these relational operators. And if you're checking for numbers, if you want to check, so then you can use this. If you want to check whether the integers, what are the integers of floating values, if they are equal or not equal or less than, you need to use these relational operators. Any doubts here?
For string equal to not equal to, okay, but how it will come, it is greater than or less than the string?
So let's say if
the number of characters.
Which one? This one?
Or ASCII code? You are saying
based on the ASCII code. It's
greater than the string.
Yeah, based on the ASCII code. If you're checking,
you mean count of characters, it will check greater than number of count. Because if it is a number, we can understand that whether it is greater than or less than. So the string,
so the value of ASCII is 97 for small a, then it is 65 for capital A. So if you say checking whether a is greater than the capital A, then it will be false. It's not true based
so
on
it will check ASCII code as greater than or less than.
So I'll quickly give an example of an if loop, and then let's say how these numbers or how we can make use of these relational operators inside a shell script. So coming to an if loop, so if loop is a conditional looping. So it's not a loop, it's just a conditional thing. If condition, we call it as. So if you have a set of statements and if you want to perform only the statements whether a condition is true. So when you're writing an if, right? So we set up a condition. So this is a condition. So whatever may be the condition, whether it can be your equal, you might be checking your equal, you might be checking your greater than, you might be checking your less than. So there will be two paths that will go. So if the condition is true and if the condition is false. So if the condition is true, then execute a set of statements. So statements is nothing but your set of commands. The condition is false, execute this set of statements. So for an example, let's say I've added two numbers for, let's say, 5 and 6. I've set up an if condition called as greater than. Let me check whether $1 is greater than $2. So I'll go here. So this will be your true statements. This will be your false statements. So here I'll say that, okay, echo is the biggest. I'll add that, whatever that, echo slash is the biggest. So if this condition is true, $1 and $1 is greater than 2, then if the condition is true, then I'll write as echo $1 is the biggest, because the condition, we check the condition, and after the condition we know that, okay, this condition is true, that whatever the value that we have entered in $1 is greater than $2. Therefore, I can say that $1 is the biggest. Then I can say if it is false, that means the reverse is true. That is $2 is greater than $1. Therefore, I'll echo $2 is the biggest. Let's say if I entered the values 5 and 6 during the runtime. So here, during the conditional format, it will check whether 5 is greater than 6. So we know that this is a false. So it will go to this side. So where what are the statements that you are running?
Hi Aditya.
Yeah.
That greater than symbol works only for string, right?
This is just for example purpose.
Okay. So I have one more doubt. How will the consumer or customer will know that we need to enter this string only?
You need to set up if statements, and why will a customer execute a script? It will be you who will be writing the scripts for yourself.
We need to use these symbols or those letters.
So anyway, if you are writing a script that is for your own purpose, whoever is writing the script, either you are using the scripts for your sake, and if you want to set up a conditions, then set up or write a whole script where you set up. Okay. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir. This is audible.
So if you want to set up all the conditions, then you need to write all the total script where you are checking whether what are the things that the user has entered, is a string or a number, or what are the things that he has entered. Then after that, perform this conditional things. So let's say, so when I check this 5 is greater than 6, right? So okay, this condition you know that is false because 6 is greater than 5. So it goes to the false statements and it will print what are the commands that we have written here. So echo $2 is the biggest. So for us the $2 is 6, right? So it will print echo 6 is the biggest of 2, you can say. So this way we can make use of the an if condition and check for a condition. What are this is for just one example where I'm checking the biggest of 2 numbers, but you can always go for any kinds of conditions, other operators as well. We can check whether 2 numbers are equal. You can check whether one number is less than or equal. So you can keep on checking. You can make use of all the relational operators and write your if condition. And this you can always use multiple if conditions inside. So we call it as if else. So we wrote an if condition. So this is a condition we wrote, and this is for true and this is for false. So after setting up this true and false, right, again I can write, so if the condition is true, again I can set up one more condition. We call it as elif or else if. We call it in C language and others we call it as else if, but in shell script we call it as elif. Nothing but else if, but the syntax in shell script is L space L if. So there is no space here, just an elif. And you can write a condition, and then again if it is true, if it is false, again I can write some statements here. Again I can set up one more condition here, setting that elif. So if it is true, if it is false. So I can keep on continuing here. We call this if else if loops. So this is your condition. So you can keep on extending. So how many number of if conditions you want, you can keep on adding them. So you can keep on adding further conditions. So let's say you want your customer to enter only the numbers, he has entered the text, then you can set up a condition at the beginning that only enter the numbers, not the text. Then if he has only entered the numbers, then you can go to your, if it is true, then you can go to your further conditions. You can always perform that. So this is your if else if conditions, and this is just
I think it is for false, right? If it is true, if it is false, then it will go for else, right?
If it's true,
it will stop there. If it is else, then it will go for another condition.
This is true. So if it is true, then you can add some statements, right? So if you want, you can add one more if statement inside it.
Yeah.
So we call it as nested if. This is else if. This is nested if. So if the condition is false, we can add from other conditions like else if, else if, else if. So for your an example, let me first give an syntax on how we write an if condition in shell script. Is, and then inside the square brackets you write your condition, what are the condition that you want, and then you write your statements or commands, you can say. Statements. So if the condition is true, these statements will run. If the condition is false, these statements will run. And to close your if loop, at the end you need to add F5. So the reverse of if is F5. So you need to add that, saying that for explicitly telling your shell script that the if condition is at the end here, ends here. So this is one way of writing here, and so sorry, you need to add then. If this condition is true, then these statements. If the condition is false, and then these statements. There's one more way you can write. So if condition, you can add a colon here, semicolon, and then write statements, else statements, F5. Both are the same, just that whatever is convenient for you, you can write. So either you can write it then in the next line or in the same line. Both are one and the same. You need to use this colon, semicolon here to use then in the same line. So this is the syntax. So for give an example, let's write 1 to find the biggest of two numbers. That's it. Let's try to write a script to find the biggest of two numbers. So I'll start with pin dash. So I'll use if the condition $1, if it is greater than $2, and so if the $1 is greater than $2, I can say echo. If the condition is true, then we know that the $1 is the biggest of these two numbers. I can say echo $1 is the biggest. If the condition is false, then the $2 would become the biggest. So you can write $2 is the biggest. I'll end the if loop by saying F5. So if you want, you can always assign this $1 and $2 up to a particular variable, and then you can, if you want, you can make use of them. So if you, let's say for an example, if I want to assign, then number 1 equals to $1, number 2 equals to $2. Here I can always use this number 1 and number 2 here also. So either I keep it as $1 or number 1, both are one and the same. So I'll make it. So now I will copy this script. vi biggest of two .sh. So add this. Let me check if I made any errors here. I'll use the script big to message. I'll say okay. I'll pass on 2, 4, and 5. You can see 5 is the biggest. Let's say if I pass 5 and 4, you can say 5 is the biggest. I'll go pass 100 and 1000. So whatever the biggest of these two numbers, we will be getting the value. In this same example, let's say I'll pass 100 and then 100. I'm getting 100 is the biggest, but that's not true because both the values are equal. There is no biggest of these two values. Both the values are equal. So this, what are the output we are getting? This is not accurate, right? So I can add one more if condition at the beginning saying, okay, if dollar number one is equals to dollar number two, then echo both the numbers are equal. If both the numbers are not equal, then I can write an elif condition. I'll write the basic. I'll keep the basic one as well, and then add. So if both the numbers they have entered is equal, then it will show you, it will give me this output. So let me copy this. B2. Message, and then I'll enter 3 and 3. Here you can see when I enter this 3 and both the same numbers, we will getting both the numbers are equal. Let's say if I enter 3 and 4, we will be getting 4 is the biggest. So you can keep on improving your script based on all the requirements. So what are the errors that you might find, maybe what are the customers, let's say what are the client of whoever is executing the script. So what are the values? Let's say if I only pass one value, if I only pass 3, so we will be not getting any value because we need to be having two values here. We need we want the user to enter two values, but he's only sending one value. So that's an error we'll be getting. So I'll write one more if condition saying if. So how can I check the total number of arguments that has passed to the script?
Hash.
Dollar
$hash.
Dollar hash. So if the dollar hash is not equal to 2, then let's say if dollar hash is not equals to 2, then echo please enter two numbers. And if he has entered two numbers, then this will go to the false loop. Then all this will work. So first it will check, okay, whether the user has entered two numbers or not. So if he has not entered two numbers, let's say he has entered one or he has entered more than one, or you can also, it will say, it will give an echo saying that, okay, please enter only two numbers. But if he has entered two numbers, then this condition is false. It will go to this else if, then it will check first whether those two numbers are equal. Then it will print, okay, both the numbers are equal. Then it will go to another elif. If both numbers are false, then it will go to the next elif saying, okay, it will check which is the greatest of those two numbers. Then it will add echo $1 is the biggest, else echo $2 is the biggest. So now let me copy this.
Aditya, in first if statement you have left semicolon and then.
.sh. Now if I enter 3 and 3, we will get both the numbers are equal. If I enter 3 and 4, I'll get what are the biggest number. If I enter maybe If I pass three arguments, it will tell me please enter two numbers only, because it cannot check for biggest of three numbers. This script can only work with biggest of two numbers. So if I only pass one value, then it will say please enter two numbers. So based on your requirement, you can keep on improving the script. So you'll know, once you keep on executing the script on real-time environments, you'll know what are the different kinds of inputs that you'll be getting and what might be the possible errors that you might face. So based on that, you need to keep on updating your script by using multiple conditions, so that whatever the entry that the user is sending, so based on that entry, what are the values of, based on that entry, you can give a particular output. So when I said when the user is not passing the numbers, I can set up on one more if condition saying that please enter only numbers, strings are not accepted. This way you can keep on improving your if condition, you keep on improving your scripts. Any doubts here on the script?
Where can we add the last? You said now only enter numbers. Where can we add that? In the start of the line, or
you can add here one more if condition and make it as else if, and then make that script. So that condition should be the first one, right? Checking whether the numbers, numbers are string. So so after that you can check whether they has sent only the two arguments, or if he has sent only one or multiple. Then you can add this. Okay, please enter two numbers. After that you can check whether it's equal. After that you can check whether the number is greater than. So if I use this condition in the beginning itself, then all this the main important conditions will not get executed. Any doubts?
How to identify whether it is a number or a string? Equal to string and equal to number we can do.
We'll discuss more on this tomorrow. The numbers, strings.
I mean, if it is not string, we should write a condition like you need to add only number. So in that case,
just give me one second. Yeah, what are you saying?
Before this script, I want to add one more line, whether I want to check if it is a variable is passing, whether it is a string or number.
So for checking whether it's a string or a number, it's not, you don't have a straightforward command or something to check. So there are multiple ways of doing that. You can, one way I can think of is, let's say I've entered this value, right? So some variable number
equal num will work.
Not directly, it won't work. So you need to use some kind of other techniques to perform that. So that there is no direct way of checking whether it's a number or a text in shell script, because in C programming or something, we can always set up the variable as a fixed. We can set the variable as a fixed integer only, floating values only, and then the strings. But in shell script, if let's say I've entered this value as test, what I can do is echo number 1. This is one way I can think. This is not the even I'm not saying this is the exact syntax, but this is one way I can think of. I can perform. So grep can check whether this value is from 0 to 9, and then I have to use some other, there's some dollar or something that I have to use, and then I have to check whether the previous executed command is correct or not. So for an example, let's try it in here. Echo test, where this is a string, right? So I'll pipe it to grep 0 to 9. So you can see here. So what are the, if I have entered a number, so this command will get executed in this command will get executed properly. So if whatever the value that I've entered, if it is a text value, so this command will execute in failure. So this way I can check whether the command whatever the value that I've entered, whether it's a text or a number. So there's no direct way of performing that. Let me check if there is a direct.
Aditya, in that case, no ASCII value of numbers is between 0 to 9, right? All are greater than 9.
Yeah, that also. Check if it is input is number or string. As I said, there is no direct way. So one way, so this way you can also check. Equals to hyphen, and if this is including in this, then 0 to 9 it is an integer, and if it is false, then it is this. So this is not an easy syntax. So this is one way of checking. So this should be here. Even the grep one that I was saying, this also works. So if you want to check it as a string, you can use this format. If it is a number, yeah, this should be so if for this command to perfectly work, I think you need to use all this, but still it was working. But this is the exact syntax that you need to use to check whether it is a integer or a value. So after that you can check, okay, $? And if the $? equal to 0, then it's an integer. If the $? not equal to 0,
but if it is alphanumeric also, it won't work, right? It will start with number because cap is starting.
So this is only for integer. This is only for strings. So then if you add one more 0 to 9, then it would become an alphanumeric value.
Okay. And in the big 2 script we are running, there we are giving 3 and 4. If we give any character, any string and number, will it show error or?
It will show me an error. So 3, 4, right? I'll write ABC. You can see integer expression expected, because here I've used all these relation operators can only work with integers, right? So when I entered a string, right, so it will show me that integer expression is expected, but we have entered a string here.
Okay. So the operator is used as a string operator, then it will ask string operator string expression is required, like that. It will show, right?
Yeah, it will show. But still, the numbers are also strings. You can also check whether the 1 to 3 is equals to 1 to 2. They are also, you can also call them as a string, because strings can be alphanumeric, right? But you cannot perform 1 to 3 is greater than 1 to 3 for using the strings. Then those will take like active values. Any other dot equals to, and then what are the variable. So if the condition is, if it is 0, then the condition will be true. if it, let's say equals to, and then if you just use this condition, if the boolean, if it is 0, that is if it is true, then it will go to the statements that are true, and if it is false, that is non-boolean value, then it will go to the false statement.
Initially, we can't store that. Like if in some script we are using a flag, like if it's true only, we are doing that, or else we are skipping.
So you want to say that in a variable that you want to store boolean values.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can, yeah, you can always do that. Let's say variable 1 equals to true, then let's say if you're using true, then same thing. If let's say I'll use where var1 equals to true, then you can always check if $var1 equals to true, then this will always check for this, right, the condition, or else you can directly use if var and then. So if it is true, then this condition will fall. If what are the statements that will run? If it is false, it will run this statement. So based on what is the value that you have entered, let's say if you have added the false here, so it will run this particular statement. If you have added true here, it will run these statements. You can always set up these boolean values as well.
The whole true or false should be typed, right?
Yeah, of course, true or false should